Hello everyone, hope you're all enjoying today's session. So yeah, as explained by Emmanuel, sorry I'm not William. I'll try to replace him and be as great as him. So please be indulgent. I've discovered the slide this morning. So I'll try to do my best and hopefully you will enjoy it. A few words of Kerlink. You mentioned that we were built in 2003, so we just reached this year the majority. We're going to party our 18 years old in September. We are one of the pioneers of connectivity of the LP1 infrastructure. We were one of the first to build a LoRaWAN gateway, in fact. We have been a founding member of the LoRa Alliance, and today we can claim that we have deployed all around the world more than 200,000 installations within 350 customers in 70 countries. What I'm going to speak to you about today is CSR. I don't know if you're all familiar with what is CSR. Corporate social responsibility. It's a very buzzword that we are hearing a lot today. But starting with Donna this morning during his keynote, she made a very nice introduction mentioning that during her first job she was a nurse. So unfortunately I cannot mention that I'm a nurse. I was not a nurse in my first job, but I've always been really sensitive to the human being. And I'm really believing that technology can be great and it can improve human living condition. It can help the environment, and it's, I believe, as technological makers trying to make products that will help our planet to live longer. So what is customer social responsibility? You will find plenty of different definitions, with very theoretical ones, with purely political ones. One thing that I like is the notion of product stewardship, is the capacity for a company to build to products and to run products and solutions in a sustainable way in order for those products to be sustainable for the environment. It's very important now that we know that resources are limited, that we really, from the beginning of our conception to the deployment and the use of that technology, to have that in mind in order to help the planet. So here, what I'm gonna do during that presentation is to go into details for three different topics, three major domains that we are investing time solutions, trying to improve things. So three topics are notably smart cities, smart environment, and smart building. So I'll go into details for those three domains, 3 steps each time, a few stacks for you to have some KPIs in mind, then the different use cases or domains where we can make things, help things, and then a concrete Kerlink deployment in order to understand what we did and what can also be done again. Another definition, just to give you a few let's say concrete more definition of CSR, is the ISO 26000 with 6 pillars for the CSR, with the human rights, the labor practices, the consumer issues, the fair operating practices, environment, and community involvement and development. Let's move to smart cities. So why is it so important to make cities connected? One very important KPI to have in mind is that within 2050, 70% of the world population will live in urban area. Okay, that means a very lot, and we'll see later that the world population will also increase a lot. So it's a very a huge part of population will live in urban area where we have a lot of energy that is wasted. We have a lot of gas emission. We have a lot of dioxide carbon that is emitted and so on. So clearly we need to better understand how a city works, what data is emitted, how we can collect that data, and how we can analyze it and decide on which element we can improve. Other important element is regarding water distribution within smart city. So generally, when we are thinking of water, it's also linked to the environment, but water distribution into a smart city can also be a huge problem, notably because from the worldwide population, we still have 12% of the worldwide population that is drinking water from unsafe sources. Different areas where we can bring technology to improve things. We have from buildings like the retail, public services, or cultural areas. From the more, let's say, energy, we have the infrastructure to bring the energy, the transportation, the buildings, urban equipments. And from more social things, all elements linked to the health, food, air quality, pollution, and chemistry risks. Sorry. Concrete deployment with one of our partners called City Lights. City Light is one of the major manufacturer of street lighting sensors that they are deploying into street lighting. So the idea of this project was to deploy in India more than 10,000 IoT intelligent street lighting sensors to improve the lighting within that area. So the idea here was to work on several aspects to make the lighting more intelligent, not to have a stupid system waking up at 7 in the morning and shutting down at 8 p.m. So you're going to tell me that you don't need LoRaWAN to do that, but in order to be able to proactively monitor the system, ensure that there is no lighting that is not functioning well, and then reduce the need for intervention, for a technician guy to intervene locally. And thanks to that, it helps to drastically reduce the consumption, the lost consumption of those lightnings. It also helps to improve the security for pedestrians, because there are also some lightning detection, meaning if you have someone walking close to the light, then the lights will pop up, and then the person will feel more in confidence and will not be in the dark. Estimated ROI for this project was around 3 years. Can seem long, but thanks to that energy saving, in fact, if we help saving all that energy, it's not only a pure financial saving, it's also a technical saving. Second domain I'd like to talk with you, the smart environment, and agriculture. Several very important KPIs to have in mind. In 2050, the worldwide population will be up to 10 billion people. So if you correlate that with the information of the 70% of those people that will live in urban area, you can imagine the needs to improve the human living in cities. From those population, a lot of them will need to move, travel, and find other places to live, because some of them will be at risk because of the planet, for the risk of flooding if they are living in places close to the ocean. There are also some people that will need to find food, notably. So there will be a big increase of food quantity and diversity to be able to fulfill those 10 billion people. And you can say either you increase the production, but you can say to reduce the waste. Because one important KPI is also that today we estimate that between 20 to 30% of food production is wasted because the expiry date is over, or because you just don't finish your dish when you're a kid. So very important to have those elements in mind, that agriculture and environment will really become a very, very important element. We have seen just before me the presentation of Wibi, which was quite interesting, that plenty of initiatives are nowadays trying to improve things on environment. Different fields of area, notably all linked to agriculture, precision agriculture, equipment, livestock management, that also concerns the water management, like we have been working with a company that is putting a sensor to measure the water within the soil, and then with the irrigation system trying to say if I need to irrigate or not. If it's raining all day long, I need to shut down my irrigation system, otherwise it's completely useless to put water on it. But it's also air quality monitoring, some pollution control, climate risk management, and protection of species that may be in danger. One very, very nice project we have been working at Kerlink was with UNHCR. It was to help the provision of water to refugees. So we've been working within two refugees camps in Iraq and Uganda. And the main idea for that project was to ensure the good provision of water. So different elements, putting sensors to monitor the water consumption. So the water consumption was brought by trucks. There was more than 630 rental tanker trucks, so it represents a lot, but you need to monitor that water consumption to avoid, of course, the leakage, but also to monitor the consumption, because that was also the need to be able to make the payments to the truck company. There was also other sensors put directly within the water in order to measure the quality of the water, because I explained 12% of people are drinking unsafe water from unsafe sources. So for that water, we wanted for those refugees to at least drink correct and good water. Last topic I'd like to talk with you is the smart building and industry. So again, several KPIs, different use cases, and last concrete example. Today we estimate that in commercial building we are consuming more than 30% of energy consumption. The total energy consumption of the world is coming from the commercial buildings. Okay, and from that energy consumption, more than 30% of that energy is wasted, because you forget to switch off the lights when you're leaving a room, because you let the heating system on and it's already 25 degrees in the piece, or plenty of those elements, additions, linked to lead to a 30% of energy wasted in a building. Another very important KPI, do you know how many time you are spending into a building versus the time you're spending outside? It's crazy that we are spending more than 90% of our time into a building, in fact. Yeah, so except if you're living in a forest, then most of your time you will breathe indoor air. And we have seen nowadays that indoor air quality is becoming a very, very important topic, because plenty of studies are mentioning that it's linked to virus spread. There is a correlation between the air we are breathing and the spreading of a virus, but it's all linked to the quality of air you're breathing. For sure, if you're breathing into a building, the air is not as good as if you're outside, but we may, thanks to the technology, improve the air quality into a building, and we may try to find ways to measure the quality of air and then send an alarm saying, okay, there is a problem, maybe you should open the window, or just there is a monoxide detection into the room, please leave it quickly. Different topics I already mentioned. So energy optimization. That's very critical when we see that 30% of energy is lost. Air quality monitoring, asset tracking, quality of the work, equipment maintenance. All those topics may help to have more sustainability into a building. Last use case I'd like to share with you with a combination of several partners we have been working with, Microchair and Endless. So the idea was to conduct a proof of concept into the hospital in France, at Kremlin-Bicêtre in Paris. And the idea was to equip 200 students during an 8-month period with a Bluetooth tag in order for them to be able to measure where they are traveling, moving into the building, but also to measure the air quality. The idea is trying to identify the correlation between the air quality and the virus spread. So the very interesting part here is that we are a little bit into anticipation, trying to help the research to better understand phenomena such as the virus spread. That's something that we are not very aware of. At the beginning of the COVID in France, they were saying that you don't need to wear a mask because the virus is not spreading a lot into a building and so on. So we're still very at the early stage of understanding how things are moving, how things are spreading. And there is a huge correlation between the number of people into a room, the number of people that are breathing into a room, and how a virus can spread into a building. So here, really, it's a very interesting project trying to make that evidence and trying to use intelligence, artificial intelligence, trying to have those kind of information and better understand how that works, to then go to the next stage saying, okay, now that I know how it works, how I can improve and reduce that propagation. I think I'm done with the use cases. So of course I could have talked during 5 hours of our different use cases. So don't hesitate. If you need additional information, you can come and visit us at our booth. On our website, you will find plenty of additional use cases for all those 3 domains. And I'll wish you all a great event. Thank you again. Thank you for your indulgence. Again, that was I've discovered the slides this morning, so I've tried to do my best. I hope you enjoyed it.